and welcome to Journeys and Journals. Our journey takes us to Union Creek today, and if you've not been there, let me encourage you to check it out on your way to Crater Lake. My guest today is Kent. Welcome to Journeys and Journals.
It's a pleasure to be here.
You brought your Union Creek shirt, and I ripped off your Union Creek jacket, and we are in the... Tell me, what makes it so famous? This creek has been running since CCC days?
Well, I don't know how long the creek has been running, but it's been there, I guess, a long, long time. And
what's it named for?
Well, there was a peak near Crater Lake called Union Peak, and the creek runs from Union Peak, and so they named it Union Creek.
Yeah, because it comes right down. There's a newspaper article about it.
Uh-huh.
Now, the Union Creek runs into what?
Runs into the Rogue River, not very far from where the resort is, Union Creek Resort.
And the famous thing about the Rogue River right in there is?
Well, just a short walk is the Rogue River Gorge, and it's a very beautiful area, and I think it's in that area photographed only second to Crater Lake. So it's very popular. In fact, we've got several weddings scheduled this year for the gorge.
Okay.
And,
now the gorge is obviously a little narrow passage, but how, what's the story? Goes down, I mean, can you actually walk down to the gorge?
Yes, you can. There's a walkway. The Forest Service or the CCC at some point in time built stairways all along the gorge, so you can literally walk right down and see it falling through the gorge. See some of the lava tubes that are there. At one point in time, even up until about a year and a half ago, there was a tree that was stuck in a rock, and the rock or the lava had formed around this tree, and the tree would go up and down with the water in that circular portion of the rock. And just about a year and a half ago, a storm came through and pushed enough water that it broke that tree off.
Oh my. And storms you do know about.
We do have a few storms. We just had one recently that took several trees down along the highway. And
now, we're filming in the month of March, and I was lucky enough to go to Union Creek and be a guest there in your lodge and trudge through the snow in snowshoes. Now, this was an incredible experience for me. I never even imagined I'd get to try them. The trail goes down towards the lava tubes, but that's quite a walk.
Well, it's if you're talking about the gorge is only about a 4-minute walk from the cabins and the country store, but there's a lot of trails all around us. You can walk the Rogue River for many miles. You can see the natural bridge just a short ways from us, and that's another beautiful area near us where the Rogue River actually flows underground into one of those lava tubes and disappears in lower water. Right now, for the most part, the water's running over the natural bridge, but during low water times, you can actually see it disappear for about 200 feet underground, and then it comes boiling back up. But
wow. I have never seen that. I guess I better come up and check it out. Now, you are near Crater Lake, near Diamond Lake.
Yes, ma'am.
One's in Douglas County, one's in Klamath County, and you're where?
We're in Jackson County, in the edge, near Douglas County line.
So when it comes to cleaning your road, you're on private property?
No, we're on Rogue River Siskiyou National Forest land. We actually lease the land, we own the buildings.
Oh, when you say buildings, what is it you own?
Well, it's a wonderful piece of history. We're very privileged, my wife and I, to own this very historic and very beautiful piece of property. There are 24 cabins there and 9 lodge rooms in the lodge, or the gift store and country store, as we call it. It's a grocery store, and then we have Becky's Cafe up there, as well as an ice cream shop that's very popular during the summer. But the buildings themselves we own. They were built somewhere, it started around 1921 when Ed Beckelheimer, who was also known as Becky, decided to stop there at kind of the intersection of the Rogue River and Union Creek and build a small delicatessen and bakery, and started making pies, and hence Becky's restaurant started.
The pies go back that far?
They do.
Now, it's because of Beckelheimer?
Ed Beckelheimer.
Now, here's a picture of, well, you show me. This is old time.
Yes, ma'am.
A gentleman here from the south.
There are some pictures that are even older than this one. This one was taken approximately 1935, and we've got some here that were taken a little bit earlier than that, when he first kind of hung out his shingle, so to speak.
Literally hung out a shingle.
Yes.
I've heard that from my dad, but I hadn't heard anybody say that in a long time. Look at this. This is
approximately 1935, and that's when the ice cream shop was basically a gas station. I believe it was a Chevron gas station.
Oh, it was? Well, let's hear it for Chevron then. How often did they come up and fill up the, I mean, do you know how these?
I really don't know how they filled up the tanks or when.
But it looks like they were good old manual pumped gas here.
Well, they were the old glass style that had the glass bulbs up above them, and I don't know a lot about them now. They're very antique and in demand. They bring pretty good amount of money. So
we've got a picture here to prove it, but that's all, huh? Now, you have history every place. I mean, the cabin that I stayed in was history in itself because it had burned
Yes, ma'am.
to the ground.
Yes.
And what's your firefighting? What do you have available? I mean, you have to let them burn?
Well, my wife and I have only been there approximately 3 years. We purchased the property in May of 2008. And the cabins that had burned prior to that time. I'm not sure exactly when, roughly 3 to 4 years prior to us taking possession.
And they just left them as burned out shells?
There were some difficulties that occurred, and I'm not sure all of the details as to why they were not able to get them rebuilt at the time and so forth, but we have.
The first thing you did was to start construction.
One of the first things, of course, we worked with the county to make sure we were, doing things properly and constructing them so that they would last. That's one of our intents. We want this property to be here a long, long time, and so there's a number of things that has to happen. This property is growing close to its 100-year anniversary.
Ooh.
So we're in 2011, and as I was saying, Ed Beckelheimer stopped and started his delicatessen about 1921. The lodge itself was actually built or started by the CCC, Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal and era, and I'm not real familiar with all of that, but the CCC Corps built a lot of properties back then, and this was one of them, built the lodge. And I don't remember the gentleman's name, There's an article here somewhere, I believe.
Oh, you've brought so many archival things here. I just love to pore over each one. Oh, there's a Camp White article.
But this talks about when the CCC built Union Creek, and then the original owner at that time was James Grieve. And there's still a lot of Grieves around. In fact, I know a lot of the family at that time, and apparently their family way back when was involved in the ownership of Union Creek Resort. In fact, there's been a number of really strong local people that have been involved in different forms or fashions in Union Creek over the years.
Union Creek got its start during the New Deal days. April of 1924. Have you ever had anyone that came and said, I was here as a CCC?
Well, there's a gentleman I'm looking forward to meeting this summer. He lives in Portland now. He's, I want to say, in his mid-80s, and he contacted me just about 2 months ago and said, hey, I was there back in the 40s, you know, when Cecil Beckelheimer actually was running the restaurant, and he actually worked for the Forest Service during that time. But on his free time, he would go over and help out in the cafe. And so I'm looking forward to meeting him sometime this summer and kind of finding out some of the information he has about Union Creek and what happened during that time. My wife and I, we love Union Creek, and we're very excited about preserving it as much as possible. And so learning that history is one of the things that we really want to do and find out about.
So you'd encourage people to write their stories and send them to you and add them to your archival files over here? Oh, you've brought so many things, and I love it. But on the back of this is the article about Camp White. And there's probably soldiers from Camp White who remember scooting up to Union Creek just for a piece of pie. Maybe they'll write in and tell us.
I would love to hear any information about the resort. So,
I'm interested in what this Union Creek, what all it offers here. Crater Lake is here. Mm-hmm. Then, does this map show Diamond Lake?
Well, a few pages back it does.
Okay, and
if you turn back, it shows Diamond Lake right there.
And so, if you're going to either Crater Lake or Diamond Lake, you're going to drive by Becky's, right?
Yes. If
By
you're coming
Union
from
Creek.
Medford. If you're coming from Roseburg, you'll go by Diamond Lake first. And we do get visitors from Roseburg and those areas, so.
Well, while I was having my supper on one very snowy day, I met a guest who had come from Eastern Oregon.
Yes, ma'am.
Just for dinner. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was kind of fun. He came from, up where the train goes, one of the stops there that often has snow. And I can't remember the name of that little town.
I don't know. It would be somewhere out of Klamath Falls, I'm assuming, because that's, are you talking about Amtrak?
Yeah, and then he works as a volunteer at Crater Lake taking snowshoe or ski trips, guided trips.
They offer a free snowshoe tour of approximately a mile on the weekends, and we get a lot of visitors from that.
Tell me, what, you don't even have to have your own snowshoes?
No, if you sign up for this, and you do have to register for it so that they know you're coming, but you can call and call the Forest Service number, actually the National Park, Crater Lake National Park, and they've got it all lined up. You just register, and they provide the snowshoes for you, and it's free. The whole tour is free, and it's a very neat time, and you get to see Crater Lake in a lot of cases. Unless it's too windy, then sometimes they'll come off the backside. But and then people who really enjoy it and want to do more than what the national park offers, we have snowshoes for rent as well as cross-country skis. And a lot of people love to come up and rent from us and go around the rim of Crater Lake.
Yeah, I got those snowshoes on. I had never gotten to do that. They're a little different than the bamboo or the wooden ones that I was expecting. These are high tech with Velcro snap pulls and all kinds of wonderful things. And I found walking in snowshoes to be a labor-intensive thing. And
kind of makes you feel like you're Bigfoot, which, by the way, is one of the things that Union Creek is also known for.
Sightings of Bigfoot?
We have many sightings. We're not known as the top spot, but one of many. In fact, we just late last year we had a researcher with the National Bigfoot Research Center come and stay with us for about a week and look at several sightings and visit with several people. And of course, we have a Bigfoot event every year.
What's this Bigfoot event?
We have a lot of fun with it, and of course we have speakers come and talk to us, and a lot of Bigfoot enthusiasts come and visit with us in October, and so that's when we normally do our Bigfoot event, because that's when the most sightings have occurred, and a lot of people will get out there and see if they can find Bigfoot.
Looking. Now you have other festivals up there.
Yes, ma'am.
One that got my attention, you have music.
Oh yes, we have a wonderful music festival in July. We've got some fabulous bands that come up and play, and we have a younger crowd on Friday nights, and then during Saturday we have a lot of our family bands. Mercy is one that plays for us, and several country and western and bluegrass, and this year Diamond and Denham's are going to be up there. I believe I said that right.
Okay.
And then we have Cowboy Church on Sunday mornings, and it's just a wonderful family time.
This Cowboy Church, because I got acquainted with cowboy poetry and it's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very serious, and it's a whole lot of fun besides. So maybe we should put up the dates for, you said it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Mm-hmm. The 15th and 16th and 17th of July.
In this year, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Union Creek Lodge, they're bragging about you a lot here. But just the creek itself, what is the history? I mean, did they ever find gold up in those hills? Or?
Well, believe it or not, there are still prospectors up in the area some. I don't know that it's allowed as much anymore by the Forest Service, but there's areas of the Rogue River that are still, you can find a lot of stories about and history about and prospects or prospectors and mines in that area. So I'm assuming at some point someone may have found some gold.
Now
And still may be.
Union Creek, you have a camping location where people can bring their trailers and just park?
There's some wonderful campgrounds around there. In fact, there's about 542 campsites, roughly give or take within a 10-mile radius of us. But there's Union Creek Campground, Farewell Bend, right there around us on both sides. And then there's some smaller ones like Mill Creek, Abbott Creek.
So if you happen to be a tenter, one guy I met, they were tenting in the snow. And I thought, well, that has to be nuts. But
Well, in fact, there was a school group that has been staying in tents for the last 2 days up on Crater Lake. And they came in late last night and said, we got to have a warm bed and a place to stay, so we put them up for the night.
well, that's great news. The experience, I talked to lots of people since I've met you.
Uh-oh.
One friend, Wendy, told me about motorcycling up there. They get on their Harleys and they get there so early in the morning they have to wait for pie. But hospitality is shown to them in the office anyhow. Every person I talk, I say, what's your favorite pie? Well, their huckleberry comes out number one, but that's only when.
Well, we like to use fresh huckleberries right off the mountain, and of course we're not supposed to. That is a sacred berry to the Klamath Indians, and but there are a lot of people who pick berries and bring them to us, and from all over the place. And we use fresh huckleberries and bake huckleberry pies. And it's been done for I don't know how many years, I guess since 1921 roughly. And it's a very, very popular pie and in demand. But roughly the berries are, in answer to your question, start maturing about August and go through September, depending upon how well the season is.
I've heard that when I tried to pick huckleberries, and I was way down Rogue River, I think into, down near the coast, I was, and they said there's huckleberries, and so I went. It's tough work picking a little bitty, but they said, oh no, the native people would just strip them, and then they would put them in a blanket and do the blanket toss, and I guess the berries sink to the bottom and the leaves go flying, and they had a system worked out. But camping this is outrageous. Tell me what this is about.
Well, I guess that's a 1920s RV. It's a tent on wheels, but there's some really neat pictures back in those days of Union Creek and the camping that was done there. So
now, these pictures can be seen where?
Well, we have some hanging in Becky's restaurant and some in the lodge, and we're hoping to get more because we're trying to build a wall of history in the lodge there so that people can really view and look at where we came from and the roots of Union Creek Resort. So
now, is this something you'd like to ask the audience that's watching us tonight or today, that they please copy their prints and send them your way? So
I would love to have any pictures, any history involving Union Creek Resort or Becky's Cafe. So.
Or I'd love to hear people who were in that CCC camp. What are those facilities like, and what are they used for now?
Well, there's several of them around, and most of them have either become lodges like ours has. Another one is Grand Timber Lodge up on Mount Hood. Those types of things. They're all over the place. There were a lot of structures built by the CCC in those days. But
well, it was an experience of a lifetime. I got are these huckleberry candies, or I did try their pies. I'll tell you, they were pretty good. But I have pictures here of all kinds of things. Let's look at this just for a minute. You brought what?
Well, that's a Becky's Cafe menu from the old days.
Have to blow the dust off because it's been around the. Do you suppose this is all hand done?
It appears to be. I wouldn't say a quill pen, but it almost looks like it was done with a quill pen.
It does. And the prices here, today's special, half a cantaloupe with banana bread, 50 cents. Oh, that's a total of 85 cents. But some of these things, I just would love to try it out.
I wish I could buy a stack of pancakes for 95 cents today.
Oh, I'm so glad that somebody saved this to pass it on. We've even got omelets for $3.25. You've brought so many treasures. We can't stop with one show. You've got enough history here. There is a picture here of you and your family. There's quite a group of you there, isn't it?
Well, just recently, our daughter and son-in-law-to-be and 2 grandsons joined us up there to help us out on the resort, and it's a pleasure having them involved. So.
Now, this is the grandson who got on the school bus at what time?
Just a little after 6 o'clock, about 6:20, he gets on the school bus.
Guess what woke me up there? Is he the first to get on the bus?
Yes.
And how long does it take him to get to what school?
Well, he goes to Prospect, and I think it's about an hour and a half, roughly,
now,
that he's on the bus. So.
Prospect School, I heard recently that it had to be closed for the day because of the storm.
Mm-hmm.
What was that about?
Well, we had quite a storm in the area, and I think it affected most of the area, including this area as well, with sheer winds blowing through, and trees came down, and we had trees across the highway, and
so he had a vacation day.
a free day.
A free day. Well, I sure thank you for showing me this whole wonderful part of world, and the map here, and we'll get your own map and look up Crater Lake, then Diamond Lake, and Union Creek. They're all just a wonderful short drive from most of our viewing area. It couldn't be 3 hours to Bend and 4 hours to Portland, or?
I can make it to Portland in about 4 hours and 45 minutes to the airport. So.
Aha. Thank you so much for tuning in, and just wanted to share about something I found exciting. Union Creek is the name of the town, named, we don't even know the history, huh? But it's a logical thing to think that's what it was named for.
Well, a time or two I've been called the mayor of Union Creek.
Thank you, Mayor, for coming my way.
Thanks, Bernie.
I'm Bernie Martin Beck, just saying thanks so much for tuning in.